And hello everybody, this is Grim Gary, and this is my Let's Draw series. We are here in Paint, Adobe Photoshop CS5, um, and we're gonna draw hands. Hands are very expressive. They are second only to the human face as far as expression. In fact, they add to the expression when you'll see people talking with their hands and that emphasize what they're saying and how their face is looking. In fact, your hands, if you, can betray you if you're lying. You may be able to cover your face, but sometimes your hands will give you away. So let's get started. Basically, you want to find the basic shapes of the hand. You can see I have some layers set here, so I could draw all over this hand and not worry about it. This basic hand shape is going away from you. So that is the line of knuckles right there. And the hand, as I have explained before, is a square. And it is connected by a joint here and here. Your thumb, your index finger comes down a little bit down here and around here. The thumb section is right here, so you can actually extend the square all the way over. And the knuckles are separated. The middle finger is, of course, the longest. That's why everybody shows it, just to prove a point that they have a longest finger. Alright, so seeing that, you can basically break the hand down into its separate components. You can either find hand references online, or you can look at your own hand if you're able to coordinate that. Now we're going to draw a left hand here because I'm looking at my left hand, and we're going to draw it from the top view. This is the hand, as I said, and there are several bones within, and this all separates the various fingers. And what you want to do simply is just do a rough of the individual knuckles. And remember, this middle finger here is the longest. The other ones will fall short underneath it, so their knuckles are going to be down here while the middle finger knuckle is up there. And so the pinky, most people's pinkies curve kind of inward. Some are straight. And the ring finger, the middle finger, the index finger. And then there's the thumb, which usually, if you hold it out flat, kind of goes a little bit off to the side. There are some people who are double jointed, so it may even look a little bit different. So that's what you do. There are 3 joints here in the thumb. Your third joint is actually part of your palm. Interesting. Okay, there are, like I said, 3 knuckles. The 2 knuckles below the tip are the same length on each finger. Not each finger has the same length knuckle on each individual finger. The 2 knuckles here are the same length, and the tip is half the size. So keeping that in mind, now you can start fleshing this out. Add the circles for knuckle joints. No particular order. You don't really want to go too far with the knuckle joint on the fingertip. And your finger bones are kind of peanut shaped. This I learned from watching Todd McFarlane's tutorial on the same subject. When you're doing any human anatomy, you want to keep in mind the anatomy underneath. The bones are very important in the structure of how the human body is formed. So this is basically how my hand looks. Your hand may be a little different, a little smaller. I don't have overly huge hands, but I don't have small hands either. So that's the hand from the top. And since I'm looking at it, my wrist is going off this way. Now, when you're drawing in a perspective like that, you want to keep in mind the rules of perspective. As an object is further away from you, it goes back in perspective to a vanishing point. So this would go into a vanishing point. All of these go to the same vanishing point. Some may go off into different vanishing points depending on their facing, but always to the same horizon line. But these are pretty much almost parallel. It's not really a big deal. So when you are drawing something like that, you want to keep in mind perspective. I'm going to erase a little bit of this. So I can reuse the space. I mean, I could form another layer, but I'm not going to do that. So yes, we're going to reproduce this a little bit smaller than it is. Outlines for the knuckle. So there's that. And this knuckle is curved in a little bit. And if you look at your own hand when it's relaxed, your ring finger and pinky tend to go face down a little bit more. This hand is that we're looking at, this reference picture, the hand is very relaxed. They're just kind of holding it out limply with and the ring and the middle finger and the index finger will stay kind of straight, but they'll form this kind of weird spiral pattern as it goes along. The body is made of spiral patterns. I forgot who that was determined by. I should remember my art history classes better. I think maybe Escher. Escher had found that, or was the guy who did the famous rhino picture. Started with a D. His last name started with a D. But okay, we want to create the basic outline for the hand here. Keep in mind that this knuckle comes down a little bit rather than straight. And these knuckles are hidden behind the other knuckles. And of course I drew that thumb totally way off. What is up with me? Of course, it's not perfect here, but it does represent a hand. Given more time and a little bit more focus and concentration, I would be able to reproduce that picture exactly. Paint it or sketch it, whatever it may be. So that's that hand. If you want to take a frontal approach, you could draw, this would be the bottom palm of the hand. You'll notice that there is a middle joint to your hand. If you bend all your fingers forward, there's this joint in the front. So keep that in mind. This is going to be my left hand again. The thumb comes all the way over to pretty much the middle. I'll form a crease there. And then there's the side bones of the hand here. So you're going to get three main sections. There should be like a little bit of a triangle. And then there's the side swoop between the thumb and the index finger. So my fingers are going off a little bit this way. Like I said, you just want to kind of sketch these little bits in. And you want to foreshorten anything that's coming at you. So it's going to appear shorter than it normally is. Now the tops of your fingers are flat, whereas the bottom is round. So the fingertips are kind of going to go a little bit round and flat at the top. Some people have nails hanging over, but the nail is set into the finger, so you have to give a little space to that, and then it'll come up into a joint. So we got this foreshorten just a tiny bit on this one. And another cylinder, 1, 2, 3. See how that is? Always 3 joints. Actually, my thumb is pointed this way. So, as you can see, the hand is really taking shape. You really have to break everything down into its component basic shapes. If you don't, you're going to mislead yourself. If you just start going, everything's going to be out of whack and kind of two-dimensional, and it won't look right. But even this can be fixed if you start putting in the basic shapes. So you have that hand. From the top, we'll draw a little bit smaller. Draw this thumb, kind of going off like this. And my fingers are kind of bunched up. I'm losing a knuckle to foreshortening there. But you still should kind of draw it in the best way it is possible. And of course the ring finger and pinky kind of go down. So this should all fit into like if you were starting to draw something, this could be just like a hand reaching up out of the water, just kind of dripping down. Zombie time. So if I were to take another layer, which I've already prepared, and you can start really getting the lines out of this. Remember, that's foreshortened there. So you want to keep these, you don't have to keep the ink lines clean to start with. You can clean them up later. And the wrist. And the important part is to always have reference, especially when you're dealing with any part of the human body, scenery, anything really. Unless you are totally making up something, like a monster. But even when you're making up monsters and the like, oops, that one came down. I wasn't paying attention. Even when you're doing monsters, people like to be able to relate to what's going on. That's how their attention stays. If you just draw kind of some sort of amorphous horror that has no bearing on anything that we know about, let's just say this is our monster. People are going to go, I don't know. I don't understand how this monster functions, so why is it important? I mean, if you're drawing like a horror story or something, this might work a little bit. But not for long. People love human things. In fact, there was a trend, I think it was back in the 50s or 60s, where gorillas on the cover of comic books would sell really well. And because they were terrifying, but they were still human, and there were human traits about a gorilla. So keep in mind, even when you're drawing monsters, you still want to keep them human. Yeah, it's Mr. Spiky. He's got his chest, his arms coming off. He's got horns, he's got wings. You know, he's still human. He's got human traits. He could have a big snake body. People understand snakes. But there's something human about him now. So yeah, this is Mr. Snake Demon guy. Who's got a snaky body. So, in conclusion, it comes down to breaking down what you're looking at into the basic shapes. There is no other way I could explain this to you. It's a matter of observation and just keeping track of your hand-eye coordination and getting the basics down. You've got to be able to draw these basic shapes: rectangle, circle, square, um, sometimes triangles. Triangles fit into the oddest places as well. This is a joint here. Hand would swivel on that joint. And then you can later add in these finer details, the veins and the bones kind of popping up through the skin and the muscles and all that fun stuff. So there you go. There is my basic tutorial on hands. Sorry, I got a little confusing with the the demon guy, but it's just to show you that even when things are inhuman, they should kind of keep to the human qualities. A clawed hand. Yeah, people understand that. It's even when it's covered in fur. Like if you're just a werewolf, or if it's covered in rotting flesh. Yeah, that's how it goes. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I'm going to do a dragon next by request. That was the next request I saw on the channel, and we'll resume with that. Take care, everybody. Have a good day.